Hi class, here are 4 review questions on how to complete the square. We're going to be using completing the square to solve problems coming up in the very near future. So we just got to review on how to correctly go through completing the square. So what we got to do here is we got to get x squared and 8x on the same side by itself. We're going to add 20. So y plus 20, that equals x squared plus 8x. So at this point, once you have a 1 in front of your x squared, which you do, and once you have your x squared and your x on the same side, you're ready for your blank. So now you got y plus 20 plus a blank. That equals x squared plus 8x plus a blank. So to get that blank, we take b and divide it by 2 and square it. So the blank is b divided by 2 squared. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So if you add a 16 to the right, we also have to add a 16 to the left. So now we have y plus 36 on the left. That equals a binomial squared. The binomial is always going to have the same sign in front of b. So if it's positive, it's going to have a positive sign. It's always going to have the square root of this term, which is x. And it's always going to have the square root of this term, which is 4. It's always rigged to work that way. So now we got to solve for y by subtracting 36. So y equals the quantity x plus 4 quantity squared, subtract 36. And there is my answer for problem number 1. Why don't you guys pause the video at this time and try number 2 on your own. When you did number 2, you should have added 12. So we have y plus 12. That equals x squared plus 4x. And now you're ready for your blank at this step, because you have your x squared and x on the same side, and you have a positive 1 in front of your x squared. So y plus 12 plus a blank, that equals x squared plus 4x plus a blank. Divide by 2, square it, 4. If you had 4 on the right, you added 4 on the left. So you got y plus 16, that equals the quantity x plus 2 quantity squared. And then you subtract 16 from both sides, y plus 16, sorry about that, y equals, rather, the quantity x plus 2 quantity squared minus 16. Hopefully all of you got that when you did that on your own for problem number 2. Let me know if you did not, and I can help you on that when you get to class tomorrow. Problem number 3 here, be very careful. We're going to add 18, so y plus 18 equals 2x squared minus 8x. You're not ready for your blank yet, class, because you have a positive 2 in front of your x squared. You can't have a coefficient other than 1 in front of your x squared term, so we have to factor that out in front. So we still have y plus 18 over here. We're not ready for the blank yet. Let's take out the 2. And now we have x squared minus 4x. You took a 2 out of this term, you took a 2 out of this term. Now you have a positive 1 in front of your x squared, and you have your x squared and your 4x on the same side. You are ready for your blank. So it's y plus 18 plus a blank. That equals 2 times the quantity x squared minus 4x plus a blank. In the blank is b divided by 2 squared. My b is this value now. It's a negative 4 divided by 2 squared. A negative 4 divided by 2 is a negative 2. A negative 2 squared is a positive 4. So if we add 4 to the right, we got to think we got to add 4 to the left. However, we have to distribute this 2 over here. So we actually added 8 to the right, so we have to add 8 to the left. Please make sure you do not forget that. So now I have y plus 26 on the left. That equals 2 times the binomial squared. If this sign is negative, the sign in the binomial is negative. The square root of this comes first in the binomial. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of this term comes in the second term of the binomial, which is 2. And finally, solving for y, we have y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 2 quantity squared, subtract 26. There is problem number 3. You guys pause the video, please. Try number 4 on your own. So when you did number 4, you got y plus 144. That equals a negative x squared minus 18x. Hopefully you didn't complete the square yet because you have a negative 1 in front of your x squared. It has to be a positive 1. So factor that negative 1 out in front. So you still have y plus 144 on the left. That equals, take out the negative 1, and then you have a positive x squared and a positive 18x. Okay? You had to take a negative 1 out of this term and a negative 1 out of this term to make both of them positive. Hoorah! Now you're ready to complete the square. So y plus 144 plus a blank, that equals a negative 1 times x squared plus 18x plus a blank. In the blank is b divided by 2 squared. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 squared is 81. However, you aren't adding 81, are you, class? You're adding a negative 81. So if you add a negative 81 to the right, you have to add a negative 81 to the left. So you have to put a negative 81 in that blank on the left side of the equation. So, on the left, 144 plus a negative 81 is 63. Y plus 63. That equals a negative 1 multiplied by a binomial squared. That binomial squared is going to have a positive sign in it because this sign is positive. The square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 81 is 9. Finishing up, solving for y, subtract 63. Y equals a negative 1 times x plus 9 quantity squared minus 63. There's the answer for problem number 4. Hopefully that was just a good refresher on stuff that you already knew. If you still have some questions on that, please let me know when you get to class tomorrow.